Welcome to Life Expressions. I'm your host, Chari Hinete Elon. Each week, we bring you inspiring conversations with changemakers who are shaping lives and communities for the better. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to follow and subscribe to Life Expressions so you never miss an episode. So go ahead, please click that notification bell, and if you find value in our conversation, please share them with your friends, colleagues, or anyone who could use a little spark of inspiration. Today, we're exploring the SPARK framework: service, purpose, attraction, resilience, and knowing. I would just like to share with you that I have attended the Ignite Your Spark Masterclass of my mentor and coach and friend Azim Jamal, and it has transformed my life. Every single day, it's not just me, but people around me would say, hey, your energy is just different. You just don't get tired. Like there's a twinkle in your eye, a smile on your lips, a spring in your step. And that is how my life has been changed every single day because I have attended the Ignite Your Spark Masterclass. And today I'm very happy to share with you again this framework created by no less than the best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and coach, Azim Jamal. Welcome to Life Expressions, Azim.
Thank you, Sherry. Glad to be here.
Yes, and we're also going to be joined today by the Chief Operating Officer of Spark of Hope Foundation, Aliya Ismail. Hi, Aliya. Welcome.
Hi, Sherry. Nice to be here. Thank you.
I'm glad to have you both here on Life Expressions. Let's start with the first element, which is service. Azim, can you walk us through the 3 areas of service in the SPARK framework: service mantra, secret sauce, and namaste, and why they're so powerful when put into practice?
So, coincidentally, the word service starts in the acronym SPARK, and service is a spark ignition. You know, it starts the whole process going. We are born to serve. We are hardwired to serve. We have an innate need to serve. And when you serve, you start to tap into your genius, into your potential. It's one of the most potent forces in the universe. And the 3 elements in the SPARK framework are service mantra, which means that, we are all, Aliya is unique in our own way, Sherry, you're unique in your own way, and Azim is unique in his own way. We are all unique in our own ways, and we have a certain talent that we have. When you apply that talent to the service that you're doing, it's so natural, so effortless, and so powerful because you are your most authentic self. So service mantra is to know what you do best. What does Spark of Hope do best? What Sherry does best? What Azim does best? And then do more of that to give yourself to the universe for what God has given you. That's service mantra. The secret sauce is really, it's not Tabasco, it's not Sriracha. It's really about doing a little bit extra. Everything you do a little bit extra, makes you go from ordinary to extraordinary. There are many examples I can share, maybe not now, later, is about how small things make big difference. I've seen it in Afghanistan, I've seen it in Tajikistan, I've seen it in Pakistan, all the places I've traveled, I've seen that people who do a little extra stand out and create extraordinary results. And the namaste concept, the real meaning of namaste is nam means bow down, aste is you. The divine in me bows down to the divine in you. When you treat people, when you treat your customers, when you treat your stakeholders with that kind of respect, you build lifelong relationships, lifelong, commitments. And a little bit of exposure to Spark, which Aliya will share. I've seen all these 3 applied so well in their work that they do. The way they treat their customers, their stakeholders, their donors, etc.
So that service mantra, secret sauce, and namaste. Aliya, how does the Spark of Hope Foundation embody this service philosophy?
Well, Azim's right in that, it's very aligned in terms of what we do. So in terms of what we do best, we're committed to unlocking the potential of exceptional women from conflict-affected and underserved regions by enabling access to university education. And so what we're really good at is identifying leadership potential from these applicants. Our secret sauce, how we go the extra mile, that lies in our approach. We're holistic. We look at the entire picture and the long term. So we're not just concerned about a student's current degree, but also her future possibilities and the broader impact that a scholar can have. And then the namaste, when you said this, I smiled because, personally, I go by the golden rule. I treat others how I want to be treated. So whether it's a quick turnaround time on responses, doing my best to answer a donor inquiry, or even the language I use when communicating, respect is the most important consideration for me and at the foundation.
Hearing Aliya's examples, what stands out to you as a best practice other organizations can learn from?
Yeah. I think, the selection process they make is people who have the potential, but not have the means to be able to fulfill that potential. They give them that nudge, that little nudge that makes, the hand of God is a little nudge that people need, and they do that, right? They do that by, and then what she said about holistic is important because it's more balanced, more sustainable, and then also long term. There's a study in Harvard with a long-term perspective of an individual or an organization or an institution or a business is the single most important determinant of the future success. So they apply that as well. So by doing that, they are really embodying the concept of service, which is sustainable and long-term oriented, and allowing people who have the capacity but not the wherewithal to be able to achieve the outcome and the goals and the aspirations that they have. So it's amazing.
Yeah, and that's really worthy of emulation. Now let's go to purpose. In the Spark model, purpose is about clarity of mission and a deep why. Could you expand on its significance and how it fuels everything else?
I think, the purpose of life, as it is said, is a life of purpose. And when you have purpose, you have the fuel, right? And in the Spark framework, we talked about having the ultimate purpose credo, how your life is going to be defined in the end of all ends. We talked about, the idea about your birthday gift, what you're born to do and serve. And finally, the flow state, when you are totally lost in what you're doing and you do 10 times, 5 times more work in less time because you're in that flow state. So I think purpose is the crux of everything we do. And I'm sure Aliya will expand in Spark of Hope. The purpose is very powerful. We talked about it earlier. And that gives them the ability to go the distance because it's not easy work they're doing. And as you know, there's so many people raising funds for everything and anything. And to attract people to participate in your cause, you have to have that purpose, which is powerful and, exciting and attractive to people.
I would definitely agree with that you have to be anchored on your purpose, on your why, and of course, the hope that you will reach your why or serve your purpose. Aliya, what is the Spark of Hope's core purpose you've mentioned, and how do you ensure it stays at the heart of your programs and decisions?
Yeah, so our core purpose really is to develop the next generation of women leaders globally. And so this informs our scholarship award decisions. It informs the guidance and support we provide along scholars' journeys. And it's a key consideration also when we're evaluating program and university partners as well. Is this really going to help us develop the next generation of women leaders? And what you say about purpose and your why is so important, even on a personal level. As someone who used to work on Bay Street, Wall Street, and in finance, I can say that the purpose that I have with the work that we do now is really what drives me. And, people tell me they can see it on my face that the purpose is really what is essential in terms of my passion for the work that we do at the Spark of Hope.
Having that passion for the work that you do is important. Azim, how does aligning daily actions with purpose help organizations like Spark of Hope and, of course, Aliya amplify their impact?
Yeah, I think it makes you wake up in the morning and be excited that what I'm doing matters. At the end of the day, when you're born with zero, you die with zero. You don't take what you have, you take what you give. And when your work is giving, your work has some meaning. When your work matters, there's a different energy. There's a fuel because the work as Spark of Hope is doing is very difficult. Difficult to identify people, to interview them, to find out their needs and get all the stakeholders aligned, the university, the people, the college, the donors. I mean, it's not an easy work, and they've had their own many challenges, which we'll talk about later in the attraction. Which are only possible when the why is very strong. When the why is very anchored.
On a personal level, Aliya, how do you make sure that you stay with your core purpose every single day through the challenges that you face?
How do we stay? It's just I mean, one thing is I just remind myself of why I'm doing, what I do. And really it comes also from some of the feedback and the impact that we get when we hear these student stories. Like, I'm in tears very often because I'm so inspired and motivated, and I'm so grateful that I get to play a role in, the development of these future women leaders.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Let's go to attraction. Azim, you often say that attraction is about becoming a living magnet for what you want to see in your life and work. How does that play out in the Spark framework?
So if you look at attraction, we talked about it starts with affirmation attraction, which means you affirm what you want in life. Clear, affirmation, I am, I am, I am. Spark of step, I am, we are what we are. That's a starting point. And then having your activities, that time you invest, the energy you invest has to be very intentional. It has to be activity impact, not a trap. Some people are very busy in a trap, getting busier, but not much impact, not much alignment to affirmation. So when you have the attraction affirmation and when you have the activity impact, you become a living magnet, which means that you attract people, circumstances, accidents that help you achieve your affirmation and also help you beyond activity impact. That's how it works, right? And you become a magnet that you, wherever you go, this interview is an attraction of some sort because Spark of Hope is doing some kind of work. We talked about Spark framework, and I think the alignment is there both from a framework as well as the impact as well as the purpose. And this is an attraction for this to happen, this event to happen. And the more you are in alignment with your affirmations and do the activity impact, the more you will attract many, many accidents. And then when you attract them, you have to notice them and give some energy to it. But because if you don't notice them, you take it as a coincidence, then it doesn't have that same kind of power.
Yeah, you attract what you are. And I like that. It's kind of a reminder for myself to, to have activity impact. It's not just about business. It's not just about doing a lot of things, but making sure that what you do is aligned to your purpose. And those activities actually would help you bring the result that you like, right? So, Aliya, what are some ways Spark of Hope naturally attracts partners, donors, and beneficiaries? Could you share stories that really illustrate this?
Yeah, I really like what you said, Azim, about the accidents, because I cannot begin to tell you how many happy accidents we've had, from that comes from attracting. And so we look for alignment with partners and donors. We want them to be as passionate as we are about developing the next generation of women leaders. And that's what really attracts people, to us, and that attracts us to, potential partners and donors. In late 2014, in our first year before I even joined, we were sought out by the Unite Lebanon Youth Project. So they're a nonprofit in Lebanon that works with Palestinian youth who grow up in the refugee camps in Lebanon. And so we, meaning Nerman, the CEO, was able to visit Beirut in early 2015, meet with the founder and CEO, and visit a refugee camp. And they learned there about the extremely limited opportunities available to Palestinian refugees, even if they were well educated. We interviewed some students who were just starting their studies, engineers, medical students who needed additional support. And the passion that the Unite Lebanon Youth Project's founder, her staff, and the students had for a bright future and themselves and the impact that they wanted to make, that still resonates with us today. That is what really attracted us. And, especially as a decade later, we're hearing about the amazing strides that they're making in terms of their societal impact as doctors, engineers in child maternal health, et cetera. And so it was that initial attraction of what they're doing and them being as passionate as we are that really was the crux of how that happened.
Yeah, you really make a huge difference in the lives of future women leaders, just identifying them and providing them that support to really continue and further their education, which is very much needed. Azim, what advice would you give to Aliya here and other nonprofits wanting to strengthen their attraction factor?
I think whenever somebody says no for something, you ask for money, you say that's the best thing that happened because you're attracting people who are going to give the right energy. So never look at no's and failures as a problem. it's actually a blessing. If your affirmations are clear, if your affirmations are strong and solid, and then your activity impact is aligned to that, you will attract the right people. So many people get disheartened when somebody says no, or when you lose a client, or you see, because you cannot serve every client, you cannot serve every student. Not everybody's aligned to what you are doing and what you want to do. If you get the wrong people in the system, they become like bad apples, right? Which creates more bad apples, right? So I think that's the more powerful thing about attraction, is to realize that if your affirmations are clear, you will attract the right people. And when somebody says no, you say that's the best thing that happened, because that's not aligned to who I am. That's not
Yeah.
giving the same energy. It's not
Right.
good for them. It's not good for you. I think that sounds very simple, but it's actually the most profound thing about attraction.
I agree with that
Yes.
completely. When we get a no or a donor is not interested, to me, that's just information, and it's just information that they're not aligned, and that's okay. There will be other people who are attracted to what we're doing, and agree with that completely.
Yeah. No for me means next opportunity. Resilience. Let's talk about that because it's not a bed of roses. It's not like positive all the time. There are really instances or circumstances that would challenge us. And resilience in Spark is about bouncing back, keeping a positive mindset, and practicing what you call inverse paranoia. Azim, can you break this down for us?
I think, um, if you don't struggle in life, you're weak. See, faith is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. So when struggles come, obstacles come, hurdles come, say thank you, because they're coming to you to become better. If you don't go through all this struggle and challenges and obstacles, you're weakly. You have not been tested, tried. So don't say why me. Say why not me? I'm ready. Bring. That's what.
Yeah,
And
that's
this is where
wonderful.
resilience comes in.
Yes. How about inverse paranoia?
So it's like, when a bad thing happens, instead of saying, oh my God, I lost this big deal, you say, that's the best thing that happened to me. So you bounce back bigger and stronger. And if every time you do that, then, you actually look for some problem. You look for some challenge, because that gives you the energy to bounce back bigger. Watch me now. Watch me now, right? So in my life, many things have happened. And really, when I look back, those are really bad things that have happened, and maybe even more stronger, more determined, more ambitious, more aspiring, right? So I think that's the way it is. And that's where resilience and inverse paranoia becomes, instead of getting paranoid, I'm the opposite when things happen bad.
Yeah.
As recently, my wife passed away 2 months ago. I mean, she was my best
Sorry.
friend, my
Yeah.
confidant, and my pillar, amazing woman. Huge, I mean, huge problem, right? But, I can mourn, I can complain, but that's not going to help anybody, right? So how do I use her foundation, her inspiration, her pillar that she was, to use it now to make more impact and give the benefit of that impact to her soul, which would be positive, right? So it's inverse paranoia to do more when something really drastic happens to you.
That's beautiful, Azim, and just really shows how you walk the talk. Aliya, could you share an example of a time where Spark of Hope faced the challenge and demonstrated resilience in action?
Yeah, sure. And I really like what you said, Azim, about the blessing of struggle, because that is really what propels us to move forward and to grow. In March 2020, we had the COVID pandemic, and as universities and travel shut down, our scholars were left unable to study or even to get home in some cases. And so for those in their first years, some were still teenagers, this was a really terrifying time for them and their families. We had one group of young Syrian students who found themselves stranded at the Asian University for Women in Bangladesh because they had imposed very tough quarantine protocols to protect the students and the community. And so the students were on a very small campus for 6 months. They weren't able to step foot outside. We stepped up, we communicated frequently with the students and the university staff and even the students' community in Syria to help keep their spirits up, to reassure them that, this will pass. It'll all work out in the end, which it did. The students were finally able to go home through very complicated arrangements and even continue their studies remotely. But it was, holding their hand and being able to support them during that really rough time that got them through. A lot of them now are pursuing they've graduated, they're pursuing their master's degrees at various, renowned universities all over over the world. And so it was getting through that that gave them the resilience and the fortitude to go on, get through their studies, and even go to the next steps.
That's great. Azim, what do you see as the link between resilience and long-term sustainability for mission-driven work, like, this amazing work that Spark of Hope does?
Yeah, I think, I give an example of people who came from either Africa or Asia to Canada. Initially, were working in gas stations, filling pump, gas. And now when they are now owning hotels and businesses and successful, but when you talk to them, they always talk about the struggle they went through. Oh, I was a gas station attendant, and every day I was to go there, and they say I'm a manager, but all I was doing is pumping gas. And so they'll share stories, which are the struggle stories, not the success stories, because there's some joy. I spoke 185 times the first year across the world. I didn't get a penny. Second year, I spoke 187 times across the world. I didn't get a penny. I wrote my first book, 10,000 hours. I couldn't put a book in the bookstore. But it gives me joy to talk about that because it gives me some pleasure to have gone through that and then become successful, right? So I think when people realize the beauty of going through hardship, to then enjoy the fruits even much more than if you won a lottery, you start spending money like crazy. You'll go to casino, this, that, and because easy come, easy go. But when it's hard-earned money and hard-earned success, you value it more, right? So I think that's the beauty of struggle and the joy of struggle and the strength of struggle.
That is so true. There is pride and joy in overcoming failures and coming out a success. Let's go to knowing. It is the inner work, mindful meditation, introspective journaling, and finding inner balance. This is the part of the Ignite to Spark Masterclass, which has really helped me a lot. The mindful meditation, introspective journaling, and finding inner balance. Knowing. Why is this such a critical piece of the Spark puzzle, Azim?
So, the way I define knowing is the zero doubt. Because small doubt is too big. When you have a zero doubt, it's a done deal. You walk it, you talk it, you breathe it, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When people see you, it's a done deal. It's a done deal because it shows in your demeanor. We talked about spark, twinkle in your eye, your brows are unwrinkled, the smile on your face, your heart is open, the echo in your voice, the spring in your step, and you're glowing and flowing and oozing with energy and spark. So it's a done deal. So now when you come to that stage, then everything is aligned, right? Everything is aligned.
Aliya, how do you personally and as an organization practice knowing? And are there specific routines or reflections that you keep and for your team?
Yeah, so the team is just me and Norman, the CEO, who's also my mother. But what's important is always keeping in mind our why. It's very easy for us to get caught up with this or that request. There's always a lot going on. And so it helps keep balance when we frame things of the lens of how will this help our long-term goals? Why are we doing this? And as I mentioned, Norman is my mother, and we have a quote unquote company policy where we hug at the end of every day. And we let go of any tension from the day and we kind of come back to peace. And I know it sounds silly, but it really does help us. And it helps remind us that, there's no doubt when it comes to us. Like, we're solid and we'll get through. We got through today, we'll get through tomorrow as well. But that is a practice that we do that really helps us.
Yeah. We'll get through today, we'll get through tomorrow with zero doubt, as Azim would say. Azim, how can leaders integrate knowing into their leadership style without feeling like it's taking time away from day-to-day operations?
So if you look at the three components of meditation, so meditation is a process of going inside and going inside and going inside, seeking for that power, the spark, the energy within. So it doesn't depend on circumstances, doesn't depend on people, doesn't depend on events, it depends on what's inside you. So no matter what's happening outside, whether it is COVID or there is tariffs happening from US or whatever's happening, internal is not affected by it because the spark comes from within. And that's the meditation, which is so powerful. And then we talk about journaling. The power of journaling is really, you don't just see things, but you observe them. You observe and say, every day if you sleep, before you sleep, you say to yourself, if I had to rewind the day today, What's the one thing I would change? If you just see that, every day you'll find at least one thing, if not many things, that you would change. And that's the game changer, because every day you're getting better and better and better every day in every way, because you're learning. Journaling really helps you. It makes you grounded and knowing what your life is all about, not what you think it's about, but what is actually happening. Yeah, that's the second part. And the third part is balance. And, the balance is really about, I think what I like about Spark of Hope is, their work is their prayer. When your work becomes your prayer, then your spiritual life and your material life is so much married, it's so much intertwined. So 24/7 is spirituality, because your work is creating impact. Yes, it's raising money, but money is being spent for a good cause. You're attracting the right people. You're making impact on other people. All this becomes it's a 24-hour prayer. And then you are in that zone, in the spiritual zone, right? I mean, if you look at balance, there are actually 6 areas of our life. There's your family, there's your health, there's your spirituality, there's your work, there's your finance, and lifelong learning. The 6 areas are juggle. But when you have this kind of work, which already intertwines many things, your work and your prayer becomes one, right? Your mission becomes one. So it helps you to reduce the 6 areas into smaller things and more doable and more sustainable.
That's wonderful. Let's go to you, Aliya. If you could leave our listeners with one takeaway about aligning your work with spark, service, purpose, attraction, resilience, and knowing, what would it be?
I think that, my suggestion is aligning your work with Spark means leading with service. That's always been very important to us. Everything we do is about service, but also staying true to your purpose, nurturing the resilience and self-awareness to keep your light shining so that you can also inspire others to do the same. That's what I would recommend.
Keep your light shining. Yeah, keep it shining, Aliya. Azim, what's one small step anyone can take today to begin igniting their own spark?
Yeah, what comes to mind is, the biggest room in the world is room for improvement. So when you realize, that we all have room for improvement, and that wakes you up in the morning. This morning I woke up and there was a little bit of stress in my mind, because a few things I need to finish. My daughter is going back to Kenya in 2 or 3 days' time. My wife just passed away. There are many things to kind of close. But I woke up for my meditation for an hour. I sat down and I journaled for an hour, organized myself. I got energized. And, so really about always realizing that we all have room for improvement, and always questioning, can I do something better? Whether it's in my work or in my health or in my family or in my spirituality or in my lifelong learning or in my finances. And when you realize that, you never stop. I don't think Jeff Bezos is stopping to still grow. I don't think Tim Cook is stopping to grow in it. Everybody's growing, even though they're so successful in what Warren Buffett is 90 plus and he's still very strong, right? So I think that keeps us to make sure that our spark is always alive and becoming more ignited every time. And then we never stop, right? Because we have so much potential. We are hardly scratching our potential.
Yeah.
The thing we talked about the ultimate purpose credo. If God says to you when you're dying, welcome back, tell me 2 things or 2 minutes what your life was about. I gave you eyes that were so small, but you could see the stars trillions of miles away. So you were small physically, but you had enormous power inside you. How much of this power did you use? This is where the room for improvement allows us to keep becoming better and better and better every day in every way.
Yeah. I would lean into having a practice of an hour of power. Every day, you've got to set aside a time for yourself for that lifelong learning, right? And continue to improve yourself. The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your thoughts and your hopes and your purpose with us, Aliya.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And of course, thank you so much, Azim, for this inspiration that you've given us again today. If you like this episode, please share it with your friends and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you would be informed each time we have a new episode, and you'd always have that time to inspire yourself with our conversations here on Life Expressions. I'm your host, Shari Hinete Elon, hoping that you would also have that spark to create a positive impact wherever you are, however you can, in all that you do. Again, this is Life Expressions.